Hello and welcome to the final table of the reject percent for the World Series of Free Enterprise. My name is RexxRaul. I'm here with Invenerable. Invenerable, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Love watching these reject percent races a little more than I like playing them. It seems that our seed rollers have been finding all kinds of fun little cruelties for our runners to deal with.
Yeah, and it looks like we're starting with both Tella and Edward, everybody's favorite pair. And we get a nice little treat right at the beginning of the race.
So, Crystal's starting item. If I remember correctly, yes, the pass is in a shop on this flag set. So, yeah, we're ready to go fight Zeromus with just these two characters, pretty much, right? Right?
Absolutely. I think as soon as we get it, I mean, this is going to be faster than most apple seeds, I think. We still have a lot of work to do before we're done here. But this is a very powerful start. Now, we do have 11 total racers in this race tonight. We've got 4 of them on this particular channel. We've got moonblazewolf, Poidrac, penguin8r, and SwimmyLionni. So we're going to see what they do with their routing tonight.
Yeah, of course. Although the pass will be in a shop, we don't know which shop it'll be in. It could be one of the Overworld ones. It could end up having to. You may end up having to have the Darkness Crystal to find it in the Hummingway shop on the moon. Or my personal favorite would be some situation where the hook is actually behind one of those lunar bosses, and the pass is in the Cave Eblin shop, just to make sure that, you know, they thought Scala rolled them a nice one. Think again.
Right. Yeah, this is, I mean, it starts off thinking like, oh, this could be done in a jiffy. And really, it could be, depending on what we're given. If we get the magma key early, if we get a way to grind early, that's what we need, basically.
Yeah, and this team, admittedly, still going to take a little bit of effort to get online. Our racers would definitely like to find, I mean, a good bow and arrow will let Edward do pretty decent damage to these early overworld bosses, getting some higher powered J items. That Blizzard and Firebomb are nice, but even Tella's only going to do like 180 damage with each one of those on a good day. So they still have a long ways to go yet.
A Dancing Dagger would also be something that people would like to have early for Edward as well. Now, and that's something that you can find in one chest rather than 2 from the bow and arrow. But for the long term, you're right, that bow and arrow would be very, very nice to find.
Oh, yeah. Although, you know, this is T4. We can find pretty much any gear in chests. We could just cut to the chase and find some adamant armors. Tella wouldn't hate a Stardust Rod, I dare say. But even so, even if we did have a means to grind already, these two characters, I want more for my Zeromus fight. So here's hoping they actually get some good characters online and we get to see just how well these racers handle the rejects of the Free Enterprise crew.
Yeah, and now these rejects are definitely capable of going the distance. We've seen people win with these, I guess, lower tier characters is a kind way of putting it. But they're not going to be, you either going to need better gear or higher levels in a lot of cases in order to win with these characters.
And we have found some great utility items so far. Have noticed that a lot of our racers have picked up a Moon Veil and Artemis arrows in the Village Mist. Couple that with the Samurai Bow here in Kaipo that Swimmy and Blaze have picked up. And Edward's online. You may not want to burn all your Artemis arrows this early, but if you just want to get through these overworld bosses as quickly as possible, not the worst idea.
Yeah, finding like the limited supply of the Artemis arrows makes your decision of when to use them can be very important.
Absolutely. And one thing that we can see all 4 of our racers doing is no one is really that eager to make a quick dive into even Antlion Cave. Sometimes on other flag sets, if you start with a strong character, or even if we had started with Sid this time, we would have probably seen a lot more racers going to make those key item checks right out the gate. Here, they are looting early, they are looting often, they are trying to find the tools to get through these fights.
Yeah, we even saw some of our runners do something that you don't often see in S2, which is going into weapon shops, because people want to find arrows. We saw people picking up those lit arrows. Now, they're kind of a medium tier arrow, but they're still better than nothing. And it's definitely, and when it comes to it, Edward's harps are nothing.
Yeah, you can get utility out of the harps on some flag sets where the status effects really come into play because there's no other way to make it through. But this is T4. This is S2. We have other options at play. So yeah, the harps. The only harp that I'm hoping to see is the twin harp tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
Did have a brief question in chat about whether item dupe glitch is active. It is not. If you look at the G, the capital G in that long flag string, there is a lowercase l after it, which indicates the only glitch enabled is the life glitch. So we can get double or triple XP from monsters using that technique, but all the other, highly abusable glitches, not in play tonight.
So it looks like Swimmy's making some preparations, about to fight the boss in the Sand Lion location. So we're going to get our first look at a boss and a first look at a potential key item.
Yeah, Blaze coming up behind him quickly. Poidrac did find the dancing dagger you mentioned, so his Edward will have fairly reliable, around 300 damage a hit with that, give or take. Oh, that is a very early bonus round.
That is a fortunate find there, finding that Mist Dragon. Meanwhile, Poidrac heading up to Mount Hobbs finds Rydia at the top, another character that can be very useful, especially in the early game, but can be in this flag set can be very nice to the entire run.
Oh yeah, that T4 means that we can find a Bahamut, Leviathan, really the top two damaging summons just lying around in a pot, and that brings her online very quickly and just lets you do work even with a very low level Rydia.
Yeah, so Swimmy basically finding the package as the item for beating the Antlion spot. So that's going to be being able to be redeemed within Mist Village to get another character. But Mist Village is also where you can cash in to get another key item check from defeating the Mist Dragon. So pretty nice there for Swimmy.
Yeah. And Poidrac having to take a reset, trying to fight the elements to add Rydia to his team. Penguin8r doesn't have that difficulty, manages to pick her up and heading over to loot the west half of the mountain. We do have, nice thing about a telestart is all these kind of like long dead-end paths, you can go down them and then just exit out and you're good.
Yeah, that is the very nice thing about having Tella at the very beginning of the scene. That West Mount Hobbs check, and even Antlion, just that little convenience of having exit is very nice.
Zudmud joining the chat, just got here. Yes, there was a crystal start, and then D-Miss just hanging out at Antlion. I thought Scala rolled this seed. What is happening here?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on either. But Swimmy did cash in the Mist Dragon check, was able to find the tower key. So that'll make the Tower of Babel a much more agreeable spot to go to early once we've got underground access.
And I do wonder, Swimmy did not bother making that package check, which it is a very long check for the sake of adding a character to your team. But I'm looking at Rydia, Tella, and Edward, and I'm thinking that I might actually want another character.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Maybe checking to see if he can get somebody that can take a little bit more hits, like a Sid, wouldn't be that bad early. But even just another body wouldn't be that bad.
And Poidrac, by the way, showing us off one of the new flags that was added to version 3 of the randomizer, the Hobbs flag. Instead of Rydia just learning a boring Fire 1 spell, she learns a random summon, not Leviathan, not Bahamut, sadly, and gets the Bomb summon, which we probably won't see a lot of. He does already have both Sylph and Odin available. We might see it for a meme kill at some point, but I don't think we're going to get a lot of mileage out of it tonight.
I agree. But this does give me an opportunity to opine on the Sylph Summon, one of my favorite spells in the game. And it can be definitely useful in certain spots as well. Moonblazewolf did check the package character, and it is Porum, but decides, don't want to take the time in order to pick up Porum here.
That's a very tricky decision. Now, I admittedly, we came in right at the start of the action. Did you get a good look at who the character in the Baron Inn was?
I believe it was Sid.
Okay, so that's a Sid. In that case, the only true white mage we've seen thus far is that Porum behind the package. Of course, if you think you can make do without her healing in the early game, there's always the possibility of maybe doing slingshot strats to quickly get her to high levels using the D-Machine grind in the Giant. So maybe that's something Blaze is keeping in the back of his head. But yeah, not a whole lot of eagerness to pursue that package from any of our racers.
Now we see a couple of our runners heading over to Fabul to do the defense there, and we're finding Mylon and the Ghasts hanging out there.
It shouldn't be too rough here, of course. We have a few spare hourglasses, so we can freeze the Ghasts, and then the only thing you're dealing with are Mylon's Lightning Ones and counters. They're also weak to fire, so Tella put in good use of that Fire Bomb. Now, Mylon will be attacking a little more frequently, though, both Lightning Magic and the occasional Punch. So it's really a dilemma with that at some places. Some locations, you really want to make sure that you leave a Ghast alive. This one, probably won't hurt any of our racers too badly.
Well, it's tough because both Edward and Rydia have very low HP at this point, and you see like the physical and the lit 1 both doing somewhere in like the 50 to 60 range, which is considerable in this part. But it looks like Swimmy is just concentrating on keeping Tella alive to try to finish this fight.
Scrolling through that inventory, trying to find any J items that'll actually let him speed this up a bit. Like, at this point, it's not a question for a lot of our racers of if they can win a fight. It's, oh gosh, how long is this going to take me? Am I falling behind my opponents? You all see these 4 racers, but there are 11 in the race tonight, all competing to be the champion of reject percent.
And so it looks like Swimmy ends up burning a Star Veil. Doing so if both of us are there, yeah.
All right, I've got it back. There we go.
Okay, I'm live as well, so we're good.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a. I'm getting a little bit of a PowerPoint right now. Hopefully, we'll get a little more stability with the stream in just a moment.
Everything looks smooth on my end, so it looks like we're good. Penguin8r did make the decision to head to the Baron Inn to try the check the places there. Gets assaulted by the mom bomb exploding, and looks like he's going to take a reset.
Oh, yeah. Those bombs, that's a surprisingly speedy spot. And, of course, after the bomb spawn, if you don't get them frozen with an hourglass, they will just be welling on your team. 6 hits coming in really hard, really fast. And you don't want to burn a Moonveil at that spot just for the sake of that. Not even a full spot check.
Yeah, it's tough. If you're lucky to have something like a Stardust or a Gaia drum that can take them all out in one shot, that would be nice too. But otherwise, you just need to get that hourglass up as soon as possible.
Exactly. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with Free Enterprise, a lot of these items we're referring to are Japanese exclusive items that we have, that Boardface has added back into the randomizer. The hourglass items doing a multi-target stop. The Moonveil giving both Reflect and a status called Barrier, which makes you immune to physical attacks, basically illusions on steroids, and things of that nature. That with this team, you're not going to see many racers really burning their best items now. You don't know if you'll end up needing those to fight a rude lunar boss, for instance, on our way to try to power up for the Zeromus fight.
But the counter argument is, if you have it, it's better to use it than to just keep it to the end. We see moonblazewolf using a Moonveil in the Mylon fight here, and those are sometimes very powerful items that you use in very specific places. But it seems to work here. Got Edward to be able to finish off Mylon.
Blaze proven me wrong. I mean, you know, it is true that it does you no good if you get to the end and someone else is done before you, but Moonveil, I get so excited whenever I find a Moonveil that just makes me so nervous.
Moonblazewolf collecting the Luca key that Poidrac and Swimmy had already picked up for the defense of Fabul. Penguin8r looting in Silvera and finds a dancing dagger in the grass there, so that's a nice pickup here. Both Edward and Rydia can use that.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't necessarily scale for the long game, but again, with the fights in the Baron Inn still, any of our racers decide to do ordeals for the sake of powering up Tella, we'll get a lot of mileage from that until we get access to... well, you know, that spoon flag is active. That would be a nice thing to see. Bahamut or Leviathan, someone would be amazing. So for now, just get through there, and hopefully they'll actually get to turn these rejects into heroes pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. You find a Bahamut summon, and Rydia's no reject. She'll mop the floor with almost everybody. So,
indeed, indeed. Swimmy, by the way, continuing his quest to check all the Chocobo forests, which of course, you know, there's only one item per Chocobo forest, but if you're the one who gets the lucky adamant armor, you get the Stardust Rod or Bahamut summon, all of a sudden, complete Galaxy Brain play puts you head and shoulders above the competition.
Without a doubt there. Poidrac finding an important item in what town is that? Toria there. Yeah. The sirens for sale. That's as well as exits. Exits, since we have Tella, is not as fun, but the sirens are going to be the way that a lot of people will like to do their grind. Depending on where we're at in the game, it might be more beneficial to do grind with sirens. Otherwise, we might see people decide to do the D Machine grind in the Giant of Babel, which does not require a siren.
Yeah, of course, to get there, you still have to get your Darkness Crystal, and it could be behind, well, probably not two Rita fights. You will note that this is called K1.5, after the old naming scheme had K1, which is basic vanilla key item location shuffled. K2 would add in both the summon monster quest chains and lunar bosses. This one, you can keep your summon monster quest chains. We've just added in lunar bosses this time, which means not a whole lot of places that Darkness Crystal can actually be hiding on the Earth.
The other thing that would be needed in order to do the D Machine grind is the completion of Mount Ordeals, so that Tella gets the weak spell.
Oh, for certain, for certain. Your only other Black Mage option on this flag set is Rydia, and if you've grinded her high enough to know weak, the rest of your team's probably ready to go to Zeromus anyway.
Right.
So Swimmy, dealing with the Lugae group of fights. Of course, the first one has both him and Balnob. If you defeat one or the other, each one has its own little script. And now the real fight, which is, again, going to just be more annoyance than actual difficulty for Swimmy. Or not even that. Edward. Okay. To clarify what happened there, Edward is not just amazing, which we all know he is, but lightning arrows do quad damage to robotic enemies, and that form of Lugae counts as robotic. So that's why we saw 2,000 coming out of Eddie there.
Meanwhile, moonblazewolf in the Treasury of Troya found an adamant armor, and they quickly equipped that on Rydia. So Rydia now, with summons, is going to be doing quite a bit of damage.
Oh yeah, and going to be pretty much immune to anything in the overworld. The main thing I could see still being problematic are those smaller bombs in the Mom Bomb fight. If Blaze hasn't saved an Hourglass, right, they will explode for their HP and damage no matter what kind of defense you're rocking.
Yeah, there's a lot of attacks in this game that are doing a percentage or a static amount of damage, and even adamant armor doesn't always help against those.
Yeah. Penguin8r taking a... Oh, go right ahead.
Penguin8r going back there. Gets that Hourglass up. You'll see sometimes the enemies will still get around to fights, but it looks like... Well, I'm not sure we're in a mini right now. It looks like we might be free, and Penguin8r might have cleared this.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least the first fight. We still don't know what actually guards us, is guarding Sid in the second spot.
Yeah, well, this is closer than we've seen yet, and it looks like Leviathan is the second fight here.
This won't be too bad. He does have those lightning arrows on Edward for a little damage boost. The wave is percentage based. Even though this is a low magic power spot, the Ice 2s that come out will still be pretty rough given his team's low HP. This might not be
to explore more of the overworld before having to go underground.
Yeah, still, everyone's kind of getting funneled through the same path here. If penguin8r does find underground access here, he will have dodged. Well, I would say dodged having to do ordeals, but you have Tella on your team. You kind of want to do ordeals.
It is kind of tough, like that. The Tella start really incentivizes people to want to do ordeals, I would think. We see Blaze taking the opportunity to use a siren, get these Lilith fights on the top of Mount Ordeals to gain a few levels.
Indeed, and penguin8r only gets the sand ruby for his trouble, so we now know that whatever path leads underground, it is from that Baron key on Ordeals. So they could get it direct from clearing the main fight in Baron Castle, or we could still be a rabbit hole even deeper into Earth Crystal and Twin Harp.
Let's hope it's the Twin Harp.
Yeah.
I think everybody would like to hear this music.
Poidrac actually being our racer who decides, yes, I want that white mage. I'm going to take the time. White mage good. White mage real good. The and you know, if no one else finds a Porum anywhere, even though Poidrac's taken a little bit of time here compared to his opponents out the gate, if it comes down to wiping during the Zeromus fight because you don't have a white mage, well, very easy to make that time up if any of your opponents take the L.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is using Tella as your white mage. That's not really an option. I mean,
Yeah.
Trying to depend on Tella in that final fight is not something that you really want to be in, a position that you want to be in. There is also, if you find an Ashura summon, you can do some healing with Rydia. And the Sylph summon does some healing as well, but you probably don't want to use too much of Sylph on the Zeromus fight either. So.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, although it's likely our racers will find Cure 3s in a shop, they're not guaranteed under this flag set, so another thing to keep in mind as a potential source of healing. So of our 4 racers right now, we're just waiting to see if Swimmy gets into Baron Castle before any of his opponents do. Doing a little more shop checking now, make sure he has all the goodies that S2 has to offer. Of course, again, I believe it's only Blaze who found an adamant armor thus far, right?
That's the only one that I've seen. I haven't seen anybody else make the journey down into the Troya Treasury, nor have I noticed any other adamant armors being opened.
Yeah. So that also is a huge, huge advantage for Blaze. Just that Sylph dishing out 4 digits of damage, full healing the party at the same time. And he even does a cute little bit of agility manipulation here. With the agility agnostic flag on, whoever's in your highest priority slot, usually the middle of the party, is the one that all your characters and all the monsters base their speeds off of. So choosing to put a super fast Rydia in the middle just means she's going to be getting turn before a lot of enemies can really respond.
Yeah, Swimmy also making an interesting strategy during that Mom Bomb fight that's been causing a lot of the runners a lot of difficulty. Having Edward hide during the explode to make sure that he stays alive, he has his HP. However, looks like those...
Ooh, that was a spicy punch.
Yeah, that was close. Was able to get through, but that second fight of Leviathan is going to be really tough. Opens with that big wave. And I don't think, that's a very fast reset.
He didn't even try to get a Cure 2 off. He was just like, nope, I'm good. So,
So Swimmy going to Toria now is going to find those sirens for sale. moonblazewolf now completing Mount Ordeals, fighting that final fight, the Evil Wall. And penguin8r decided not to go directly through Baron, or excuse me, not to, or is following everybody else in that officer-soldier fight in the third position of the second position in Mount Ordeals. Yeah, we'll see if Swimmy decides to go into the treasury in Troya. And it doesn't look like he's going to. Just goes back in the airship. And, going to do the Mount Hobbs check and going to learn that bomb summon. Now, Poidrac is also going into Toria. Another check to see if a runner is going to make that that walk down to the to the treasury and get that adamant armor. Meanwhile, Swimmy is now going to give that another shot over in the Baron Inn. Poidrac also just gets right back in the airship, does not go to the treasury. moonblazewolf now also trying the Mom Bomb fight. And now it's Poidrac's turn to climb Mount Ordeals. Sorry, it looks like we might have some technical issues with Invenerable here, but I'm still with y'all. So
check. Hey, there we go. Okay.
Hey, we got an Inven back.
Yes, my microphone just quit working for no reason, and I thought you were just being a jerk to me. I'm like, why do you keep talking when I start talking? But it was actually just okay. Apparently, my headset decided it didn't want to do anything. Anyway.
Next time it'll be because I'm a jerk.
Oh, okay, good. So one thing that I've been thinking about this whole time that I've not gotten to say because of my faulty hardware is we've really only seen the one of our what we like to call free bosses under the no free lunch flag, and that's the Kaipo guards in the back attack spot up on Ordeals. So even though we have the rejects, at this point, there's still a lot of boss spots that could be occupied by all these, bosses that are vulnerable to status effects, hourglasses, coffins. We could still end up seeing the Baron guards. We could see the Dark Imps. A lot of these are still in play, and you really hope to see those if you're a racer at a very rough spot that you're like, let me just peek who the boss here is, and you see that it's actually someone you can just completely cheese. And we may end up seeing that if we end up having to go to the moon.
On the flip side, we haven't seen a lot of the more difficult bosses. We haven't seen Golbez, we haven't seen Kinazo, we haven't seen Valvolus. A lot of these bosses that we'd like to get them out of the way in these easier spots rather than having to face them like as a boss on the hook seed or an important boss on the moon or something like that. So we've bought a lot of like the kind of middle ground bosses, but like the real tough and real easy bosses are all still in play, it looks like.
Yeah.
But the possible exception of Rubicant, who can, in certain spots can be very difficult.
Oh yeah. And actually, on reflection, it is true that even if the pass is gated by the Darkness Crystal, if anyone has the Darkness Crystal, they're not going to say hunt for the hook to try to get to Cave Evelyn. The only reason I think any of these racers will end up fighting a lunar boss will be if they're trying to get a 10th key item to accelerate their grind. And even then, we've seen where sirens are for sale. We have hourglasses. Gold dragons are always a possibility on the moon for quick and easy XP. So we probably even won't be seeing any of the really nasty boss spots. The hardest one anyone will probably deal with is, I don't know, what do you think? The top of Lower Babel?
Yeah, I think that would probably, well, top of Lower Babel or the Rubicon spot in Upper Babel if this ends up being a hook seed.
Oh yeah, of course. I was over there thinking of eventualities that keep us from seeing the shop in Cave Evelyn, which...
Oh yeah.
yeah. So my mind was way somewhere else, just following a completely different path. But yeah, if it is a hook seed, you are absolutely right. Whoever lies at that King Queen Evelyn spot and at the Rubicante spot will be the greatest challenge outside of Golbez these racers deal with tonight.
Now, I definitely agree with you, though. If, for example, the Darkness Crystal, and if we haven't seen the past, and the Darkness Crystal ends up being like the 9th key item, we might see people fight one moon boss to try to get that 10th key item. That's a possibility, but I agree. It's unlikely we'll see moon bosses with that beneficial crystal as the starting item.
Yeah. Penguin8r here. I'm not sure. I do see that his Edward is dealing quadruple damage to Asura. She is a mage type, so he could be doing that either with mute arrows or with an elven bow. Takes her down pretty cleanly. We do still, of course, have one more boss here before we can get our character and key item.
It could also be a mute dagger, but I don't think Edward's going to be doing that kind of damage.
Things get cooped. I try. And the usurper of the Barren Throne today...
He's a computer.
That's an excellent disguise. I'm actually very impressed. This is very Battlestar Galactica all of a sudden.
Oh, I was thinking Terminator, but that works too.
Of course, we have Edward with a long-distance weapon. Given that Penguin8r's Sid is sitting in the back row, I'm pretty sure he's been back row glitched as well. Should be able to chew through this 3330 HP with relative ease. Might be a little nicer if his Rydia was still up and could throw some Sylph summons at it, but this fight won't take long at all. CPU is always more annoying than it is an actual threat.
Yeah, I agree. It's just an annoying fight. I think that Penguin8r might be purposefully keeping Rydia down. And the reason that I'm thinking that is he's got her in the front row. He's not the one who found the adamant armor, so she can't take a lot of hits there. So I think he's just going to keep her at a low level until he's got the opportunity to slingshot her.
Hey, makes perfect sense to me. Penguin8r, of course, a runner of the vanilla category, No 64, which involves a lot of demachine, well, a lot of practice at demachine grinding, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And if you get to 10 key items and your Rydia is 10 levels behind the median on this flag set, it takes, I believe, a whopping 6 demachines to slingshot her to level 55 and knowing nuke. I'll double check that number right quick, but it definitely saves a lot of time getting her to that point to where she has really great DPS at the Zeromus fight. Let's see.
This is where having you on the stream really helps, because you know the numbers on that. I just get into the D-machine grind and just go until I feel like, I hope that's enough.
Well, here's the tricky thing. Usually
it's far too much, so...
Well, the tricky thing you have to look out for with that, though, is that, like, with Rydia, like, yes, if you're that many levels behind, you can do 3 D-machines plus 3 life glitches, and she's level 55. But if you do this when your Rydias are level 1 or so, and your other characters are in the upper 20s, you're going to end up in a situation where your Rydias are in the 55s, and oops, my other characters are only like 41. So you do have to be careful. You have to think about your characters who aren't getting all of that delicious bonus experience and take care of them as well.
Now, it looks like the prize for defeating that CPU is a magma key, so no hook seat tonight.
Well, we still have to. There's still ways that the seed could end up being rude, uh, but they are running out quickly. With the underground being open, if anyone needs a few extra levels, they can take sirens to the yellow dragon egg zone and make a few omelets. So if it's anything you just need to grind for down here, you can get it going pretty fast. The biggest threat I can see still being in play, Wyvern in Sealed Cave at the Evil Wall spot.
That would be nasty. I think Kainazo at the top of the tower would be nasty too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Just because you have the HP of all the different Lugae parts combined into one.
Right. It's a very high HP spot.
Penguin8r opting to actually pick up that Drain Spear after all. Probably just intending to sell it for cash, but I do love my Drain Spear memes.
That's a nice pickup for Penguin too. In the key item chest in the Land of Summoned Monsters, finds the pan, makes a real convenient check of a lot, basically the entire Underworld. Right now with that pan find, the entire Underworld is now accessible because we've got all the Sheila checks. We've got the tower keys, so the entire tower is in check. We have the Luca keys, so the sealed cave is in check, and the dwarf castle is already there. So.
Oh yeah. So pretty much, there are many places open to our racers at this point, which means it's very easy for anyone to get rabbit holed at this point. And when you're racing against 10 other of the best runners of this game, going down one rabbit hole can cost you multiple places in the contest. So everyone's really hoping that they make that Darkness Crystal check. They pick the right path sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's the gamble. Which one is going to be the best one? Well, and also we've got a pass that's out there that could possibly be. We saw Penguin8r just checked the Tomra check, hasn't seen it. We haven't seen Dwarf Castle checked yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, does pick up a little bit of wine just in case Sid and Edward want to get rowdy going forward. And gonna loot the shack. Talk to the dwarf for me, Penguin8r. Do it. I think I'm the only one who loves Temp Job Dwarf as enough. Oh, shame. Not finding out the job tonight.
I was the one who made that suggestion. He's my favorite NPC in the vanilla game and in this game.
Oh, so that little randomization, you were the one who got bored to add that?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. It is my...
I Am a Farmer was my favorite character in the game.
Yeah, Dakar asking in chat, do their new colors matter to anything? No, that's just the Fab flag. So, Scala Kitty, our reshooter tonight, is actually part of the development team, and she went in and created custom palettes for our characters. So if you get duplicates, they're easier to tell apart, and it's just, a nice little splash of flavor. I'm looking forward to, rumor is, there's a new set of Fab palettes on the horizon.
The one thing that it is kind of functional is having the multiple palettes is nice when you see, like, when you're choosing whether or not to ditch a character because you've got the 6th character in the party. You might know them. Sometimes it's easier to remember which one is which one's good for them. Like, oh, this palette is the one. So there's a little bit of functionality in there too, but mostly it's just cosmetic.
Yeah. And Penguin8r definitely going for slingshot strats with his Rydias, bumping that level 1 Rydia off first opportunity before cracking an egg for a little bit of bonus XP on his other 3 characters. So definitely has plans to slingshot them later on.
And it looks like the pass is for sale in the Dwarf Castle. So looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 key items is what we're at now. So looks like Penguin8r is making a run through the Sylph Cave. We'll see if that gives another 2 key items. With that and the pass, we might not even need to see the moon.
Oh yeah, the Darkness Crystal may end up just being left behind. And ooh, a Bahamut summon from the Sylphs. That's not a bad find. Admittedly, we know, looking at Blaze's situation, that you don't actually have to fight anything else other than your grind monsters. I bet Blaze is going to buy a fat stack of Sirens here and just grind on dragons until he's good to go.
Or maybe as much as he could afford. We got
Yeah.
10. Or
30.
I had a bunch before, okay.
Yeah, 37's a decent stack. I actually don't think that'll be enough for Iridia to get Nuke, though. Her XP curve is very slow, and J spells are on. So instead of learning it at, I believe, 50, you have to get all the way to level 55 for that spell. Kovalkin, there is not. The only AoE wall that you'll see in the game is when the evil mask monster does it to you in the lunar subterrane. I believe that's literally the only place you see it.
Well, penguin8r through the entire Sheila chain only got 1 key item, so sitting at 9 key items in the past does not count as a key item. So we'll see if Penguin decides to fight any other bosses, try to go through maybe the Dwarf Castle or the Sealed Cave, something, to see if we get another key item.
Now, he did get that Earth Crystal, which of course can... well, okay. He's not making the Earth Crystal play. We would get to see 2 more potential characters there, along with... We know there's 1 adamant armor in the public treasury. Maybe there's even more in the gated treasury.
Yeah, most likely all of those chests are adamant armors. I mean, just playing the odds.
Yeah. Penguin8r going to see his pass here, and then he will actually have a little bit of a dilemma, because like you said, he's sitting at 9 key items. Blaze at 8, or Blaze actually only at 7. Easy decision for Blaze. Grind.
Yeah. And the thing is, if Blaze had gone down to the land of the summoned monsters and gotten that pan, it might be we might see him go through that Sheila chain, because, you know, getting 2 key items out of the 3 spots is not unheard of. So, but without that, yeah, it's just, let's start the grind. Let's get this going.
Yeah. Penguin8r sees tiaras for sale and contemplates getting rid of a little bit of his gear to get those. They are kind of best in slot for Iridia. They won't give you quite the same amount of magic defense that a ribbon will, but they give a whopping +10 to her black magic and summons, the stat she uses for them. And a very, very great piece of gear, but money's at a premium this seed. Usually, you know, you find, when I'm playing Reject Percent, I'll find white spears, crystal swords, that's just cash money. Not quite so generous this seed, in terms of money at least.
Yeah, it's generous in other ways. We got that crystal right away. We found the pass for sale. It's a magma-keyed seed. So, like, we've got some other things that are very nice. But yeah, you're right. The cash isn't flowing as much. Moonblazewolf only affording 37 sirens at this point.
Well, Blaze apparently got financing from something. It may have been, maybe he found some other goodies when he got that adamant armor that let him afford these things in a way that his opposition just, they don't have the resources.
So now we'll see what Penguin8r's decision is. And looks like not going to Dwarf Castle, heading back up. We'll see if he just goes to buy those sirens at this point.
I mean, there is the possibility that he decides to gamble, I want to find the Darkness Crystal, I want to slingshot my Iridias, and he is going into the castle. So not going to immediately buy sirens.
But going to the treasury, so...
Woo, adamant armor. And maybe we'll get to see if... Oh! He didn't go into the adamant armor side.
Not yet.
Well, now I'm worried. We know he has Tella's already made source of exit. So... Penguin8r, you really need to be greedy for your own good here.
Well, if the goal is to get more money through this, then I can just see, like, the reasoning for getting 8 more chests.
Yeah. And of course, inventory management, the true final boss of free enterprise.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. Oh no, he's using exit.
No.
Oh, warp.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
I was worried for him for a second there. There's the armor.
Oh yeah, I do want that one. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Oh, that Avenger is probably the source of a decent chunk of Blaze's financing as well. That sells for
an expensive one.
Yeah. Very fantastic weapon that not a single one of our 5 rejects can wield. But while Penguin8r is doing all this looting for financing, Blaze is off to the races.
Yes.
One thing to note, though, Blaze did not pick up the Porum, and it takes a lot of levels to get his little Posh Spice Rydia twins up to... I love that naming scheme. Very, very cute, very clever, Blaze. So,
yeah, that is interesting. Decided to roll without a white mage at this point, and getting into the grind.
And not just that, but leaving Tella dead, intends to use Tella as the anchor at that. So, won't even have a little bit of extra HP on him.
There were Cure 3s for sale, I believe, in the Dwarf Castle as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Blaze might be thinking of using Sid, who gets a very high HP pool, as a chemist, and just throwing items and using that as the healing method while the Rydias reflect nukes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but of course, at 34,000 XP a pop, Blaze is going to be grinding here for quite a bit. I would like to thank SwimmyLionni for giving us a little insight into what else is in the seed, as Penguin8r apparently going to start his grind as well.
Yeah, and looks like Penguin is grinding at the 9 key items.
Yeah. Swimmy, meanwhile, either making a play to try to find a darkness crystal or just to get to 10 key items and cut his grind time in half. Get cooped. Penguin8r actually went to Sheila before he went to Dwarf Castle, so he did get the Earth Crystal from her, but that only got him up to 9 key items. But he did do the Sheila checks for us. And of course, SwimmyLionni dealing with this super cannon boss, but will not actually know his reward until he hoofs it all the way out of here, which he could do it right now to hope for a 10th key item, or he could go upstairs and find whatever's in the Dr. Luge spot.
Another option would be going down, because on the floor, I believe just below this, there's a save spot. So you could do a safety save, go down, and
then just reset back up, yeah?
Reset back up if that's not a key item, and then but still wants to check the top.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I don't know if that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Get Coop saying in chat, there isn't anything quick to get 10 key items, right? Exactly. And that's actually what Swimmy's doing here. He figured the quickest check is to deal with this easy peasy boss in the cannon room and just run out. And so he's really hoping to get a 10th key item here. If not, then this entire little run up the tower was just a waste of probably 2.5 minutes. Poidrac, meanwhile, has done a little bit of catching up, finally clearing Baron Castle, going to be able to make his way underground as well. And then, of course, he'll have a wide array of choices, just like all the other racers have.
Pigtail.
Oh, no hook, though. No hook.
No hook, but it is something that's going to make Swimmy's grind is going to end up being much faster than Blaze and Penguins.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, again, like, let's just say that Blaze intends to use all 37 of those sirens. Well, Swimmy would only have to use 18 or 19 for the equivalent amount of HP. So we are very sad to say we won't be getting harp music tonight.
No. That's not in the cards.
If anyone is interested in finding that out, though, of course, once our racers are done, the race will be recorded on SRL. You can always go to the topic there and find the link to the seed and try it yourself. See if you see how you stack up against our runners tonight. And if you just want to go to the harp spot, figure out where that is, you can at least enjoy the music that way. I mean, Get Cooped, I could do that, but why would I spoil it for you and deny you that pleasure yourself? So this should be interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this just makes, like, a lot of Penguin strategy for this run kind of got just, like, beaten down because he was keeping those Rydias at as low level as possible for the slingshot. And now it's like, well, I guess we just have to grind up anyways, so...
Oh, yeah. And Swimmy making the big gamble to try to get the to go find a 10th key item. He could have gotten a Drain Spear there. He could have gotten a Ninja Shirt there. The fact that he got a 10th key item is huge for him. Huge. So I'm going back to the tape right quick because I'm curious again, just comparing grind times amongst our racers.
Okay.
So I'm going to quickly go back here and see when did Blaze start grinding his eggs. And about just a little past the 40-minute part, about 40 minutes, 10 seconds or so. And Swimmy didn't start until, what would you say, about 48, 30 or so?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So Swimmy starting his grind about 8.5 minutes after Blaze, and may still end up beating him to the punch.
That's a definite possibility. Blaze has been grinding for 10 minutes, and his Rydias are still at a pretty low HP for the Zeromus fight. Just learning Stone at this point.
Oh yeah, and actually Swimmy was starting eggs about the 48-10, so about 8 minutes exactly behind Blaze, but we're going to see if he makes that time up here. Oh yeah, and our restreamer Scalikitty pointing out that Poidrac did pick up Porum, so even though Poidrac a little behind our other racers getting underground, is the only one with a white mage to help pick up the slack at the Zeromus fight. DJ, given that Cure 3s are for sell, I think when Rydia gets nuke, it's go mode, if not even a little sooner. Like, if someone else, if anyone here sees a .done come across in the channel, they may say, you know what, I'm just going to have to roll with, you know, Ice 3, Lightning 3 instead of nuke.
Yeah, the third level, I mean, it would be much more ideal to use nuke. It does a lot, it's a lot faster to charge, and it does a bit more damage, but you can use the level 3 elementals if necessary.
Yeah. Because again, it takes so long T5 here.
Yeah, and Julison asking if Bacchuses were found. They were found, but I don't know if we're going to be seeing those in the Zeromus fight. My gut instinct is saying that we will not.
Yeah. Penguin8r intends apparently to have Edward for his anchor. He's taken a nice little nap. I don't know if he found a curse ring to put on him, because even at 850 HP, Eddie has some decent agility.
He might have gotten Edward to that 28th level. 28 agility?
Possibly, yeah. That could do it. I do like having a relative agility 2 Zeromus instead of relative agility 1 when I'm doing reflect strats, so that would make a lot of sense. Oh yeah, Get Cooped, this tournament is more of a showcase of a wide variety of free enterprise flag sets. So each weekend we have 4 qualifiers, and the top finishers over the weekend get invited to the final table. If you win the final table, you get 12 points, second place gets 11, so on and so forth. And then at the very end, whoever has the most points wins the whole shebang, but you don't have to go for the whole shebang. If there's a particular flag set you really like that you want to, you know, go try to take that first place and strut your stuff in, you can focus on that flag set. A lot of racers, for instance, only intend to do the 2v2 event just because they find 2v2 a really fun way to play the game. Other people are, you know, a little wilder, are looking forward to 80% or Catalite seeds. So it all just suits your preferences.
Yeah, I think one of the nicest things about this entire event is that if you like free enterprise, probably at least one of these flag sets is one that you're going to really like. So.
And Swimmy has been gaining those levels so quickly.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get nuke on his Rydias unless he goes and buys more.
And that's a real time too. At this point in the game, when you're in grind mode doing these eggs, and you, based on where everything is found, you know, all of these runners have got to be thinking that everybody else is right in that same ballpark. You know, if you've got to go up and go buy more sirens, that's a real time loss.
Oh yeah. And that's one of those things that I wonder if anyone actually, like, I know the numbers for D machines, how many it takes to slingshot your Rydias. I wonder if any of our racers took the time to say, if I want to grind a level 1 Rydia to nuke, this is how many sirens I need.
Right, and then especially like considering how many sirens I need with less than 10 key items, like that's how many times are you going to be calculating like all of those different things, like on eggs, on King Ryu's?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different ways of going about it. That's a lot of research.
And case in point, Blaze there having to go back and buy another stack. He used all 37 of those, and had to make to have.
Remember, there are 11 people overall running across 3 channels tonight. Chokosura finished in first place with a time of 54 minutes and 59 seconds. So GG's to Chokosura.
Oh, wow. Very well done. I'm looking forward to watching that VOD. I want to see, like, did he choose to grind his Rydias past a certain point? Did he use just a different strat that let him get done faster? Or did just, everything played out accordingly? Saw that pass and didn't get rabbit hole?
Yeah, or like whether or not he got that 10 key items for the grind too is an interesting question.
Absolutely.
Because it could have been like he was better with money and didn't have to go back like Swimmy just did to get more sirens to finish the grind even at 10 key items. That might have been the difference too. Like you said, we'd have to check the VOD to know.
Yeah, but either way, a fantastic time this seed. Just knowing that with this team, how much grinding you have to do, very well done. Poidrac making the play into the tower as well. I wonder if he'll go all the way up to the top, or if he'll just make the SwimmyLionni special that we can call tonight.
The half tower.
Yeah, the half tower. Fastest way to find a key item when, Luca key, that takes forever, and if it is a key item, you're walking out with it. Earth Crystal, oh my goodness, 2 bosses, a load of cutscenes. Definitely, Swimmy chose the fastest route to 10 key items, and it paid off for him.
The sad thing is, in all 3 of those things, here, see, Poidrac is making that safety save on that floor before the tower key. All 3 of these locations, the Tower of Zot, the Tower of Babel, and the Sealed Cave, are all locations you can't use exit out of. Like, these are just really nasty spots that you're going to check for 1 key item.
So although Scala thinks she may have rolled a generous seed, it's kind of like it's just on the edge of being rude. Because, hey, here, have 2 Rydias, but you're not going to get to go do a D-Machine grind. Oh, do you want a 10th key item? Well, are you going to gamble for it? Or are you going to just do, grind 40 eggs to get, 4 dozen, do your best Gaston impression, 5 dozen eggs to get the levels you need. There you go, Scott. It's the type of seed that leaves you a 2-star review on Yelp. Ugh, rude. And Blaze is going for it, though.
Yeah, looks like Blaze is now ready.
Yeah, that was 18 minutes of grinding, and I'm still not sure if he got nuke.
It does look like Swimmy is getting pretty close to ready. Looking at those levels, level 56 on Rydia. Yeah, looks like he's heading out there too.
Yeah, so Swimmy for sure. Note that they are basically going to Z at the same time, although Swimmy started his grind 8 minutes after. Oh, goodness. Of course, Swimmy grinded everyone up, so speed issues will be a little trickier for him, perhaps. But pulling those nukes up... Okay, Blaze's Rydias are level 55. They both know nuke as well. So we got nukes across the board. Swimmy did it in about 10 minutes versus 18 minutes for Blaze. And let's see who has the better time at the Z fight. We are neck and neck here.
Yeah, we'll see if that Porum helps out.
And Scala with the 11-month sub. Thank you for supporting RPG Limit Break. And yeah, excellent question. Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Blaze will be giving us the first peek as soon as he gets this crystal throne. And oh yeah, getting ready to throw those reflected nukes off his own team to avoid counterspells from Zeromus. Should be dishing out a lot of damage really quickly and ideally avoiding the refill. And hey, Damonrath, thank you for the resub as well. Twitch Prime sub, 10 months. Thank you for supporting RPG Limit Break. Oh, this is from Cuphead, right?
I'll take your word for it. I've never played Cuphead.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I've not actually seen this one. I do love that at this point there are more than 365 Zeromus sprites in the game, so you can have a new one every day if you get lucky enough. And tonight, #blessed, new sprite to me. GG Scala.
Sprite. I haven't seen this one either, so that's great. It's like all of Scala's sprite work. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So Swimmy now also getting the transformation going. Swimmy, again, has a much higher agility anchor. Tella at these levels does, I believe, have an agility in the low 20s. So should be interesting to see if that gives him a harsher time here with the actual fight against K. Decimus. Penguin8r hot on their heels.
Yeah, this is going to be a real nail biter here.
I mean, 3 people will be in the Zeromus fight at the same time.
Yeah.
Very intense race for our runners tonight.
But that's kind of like the nature of this seed, because we saw everybody taking basically the same path of the overworld, and then once the underworld opened up, almost everything was available, and we got that pass right away. It kind of yielded itself to this kind of a seed where everybody would be clumped together like this.
Yeah. And Blaze, sure enough, has Sid on chemistry duty, while the Ridias continue to throw nukes. We do have a second place finisher overall. Scratch Dragon has come on in with a time of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 26 seconds. I think we are about to see a huge cluster of people wrapping this seed up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody, or at least a big chunk of them, finishes within, like, 5 minutes of each other, something like that. We're going to see a lot of reflected nukes.
I mean, with this team, that's pretty much the strat you have to go with. If you go for too extended of a fight, if you don't skip that refill, I mean, Tella does not have the HP or the MP to really sustain the fight, and if you didn't buy just a massive stack of Cure 3s, you're going to have trouble keeping everyone up that way too. Both Penguin8r and Blaze taking advantage of their Edwards to hide off screen just in case everything does go pear-shaped. Can just bring him back out after a big bang, let him throw Cure 3s, life potions, whatever you need to get the team back up and going. While Swimmy's has enough levels to just be part of the main fighting force. No hiding for Swimmy's ad dwarf tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like that's the safety valve. Like, you don't want to have him come out and do something as an emergency, but it's good to have him there if you need him.
Blaze here. More nukes, more nukes. All the nukes everywhere. What happens if you put dice in a microwave? Ooh, and there we go. Blaze has of our 4 featured streamers, he is the first one to be done, but he was just narrowly sniped by Dusty Griff, the unstoppable monster. Dusty had a 103.43, Blaze 3 seconds behind with a 103.46. GG's to Blaze. Very well done.
I'll see if Blaze wants to come in chat. And I believe we have moonblazewolf.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
So,
Blaze.
are you just utterly sick of eating eggs at this point?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was... I mean, the interesting thing about that seed is it was like all about execution. Because there was one linear path, I'm assuming, that everybody probably took, and you know, maybe there was a different grind option, but you were really risking it, you know, checking to get to 10 or something. Or so I think it just felt like every little thing counted.
Yeah, you did have one of your opponents on our restream did make that gamble and checked just the cannon room spot. Swimmy did that and found the pink tail, which couldn't turn it into an adamant armor without a hook, but did hit the 10 key item mark. He actually started his grinds about 8 minutes after you, but made it to the Z fight at the same time as you. But he didn't choose to leave anyone dead as an anchor, so he did just take a wipe and is having to roll back through a second time.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I thought about maybe checking Tower Key and Fey March, and just maybe if you got the pan or something, you're probably going to get to 10. But I also thought I had the items just to do the grind, and I figured why risk it.
And speaking of people who did find the pan, though, penguin8r, another one of our featured racers tonight, has come in 6th at a time of 1:05:26. He actually, well, we'll get him in here, and we'll fill you in on the slight differences in your paths.
Sounds good. Probably much more interesting than all the eggs I grinded, so.
Yeah, he did pretty much the same thing. He just lost a couple minutes to finding the pan in Fey March.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So pretty much neck and neck. A little divergence in the early game, but very similar play between the both of you. And even down to your hidden Edwards covering for your team.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I was a little frustrated about is I ran out of sirens. I thought 40 was enough, but I turned out to be just like 3 or 4 short. So that was probably just the difference between maybe moving up a little bit. Not that I'm upset about it. It was just like I said, it was just every little thing made such a difference in this race.
Absolutely. In the early game, were there any parts that you feel you would change, you would do better if you had another chance?
I'm actually really happy with how I routed the early game, and also the boss fights, like the Mylon Z fight, or not the Mylon Z fight, just the Mylon fight at Fabul in particular. That was deceptively hard for that party because of the counterattacks and not really having a lot of good armor. So I actually burned a Moonveil on that fight, and I don't think I've ever really done that early, but it really made a difference.
Absolutely. We saw, I think pretty much everyone had at least one wipe at some fight, whether it was with the surprisingly rude Mom Bomb in Baron Inn, or with that Mylon fight, like you just said. So
Yeah.
definitely better to use it than to lose it.
Yeah, no wipes was. I'm really happy with that, just because some of those boss fights with that party were so difficult. So to not wipe to anything, I was super happy about that.
I think another advantage that you had at the early part of the game was you were the only one of the runners who, at least early, decided to go through the Treasury in Troya and find that adamant armor.
And the interesting thing about that is I normally like to do that even earlier in T4, especially when you have Tela to use exit. And I think it was just because I felt the pressure because of the crystal start, just to like go after key items. But yeah, when I circled back and found that adamant armor in Troy, I was so happy.
So, did you have any other final thoughts about this seed or this flag set in general?
This is probably one of my favorite flag sets of the World Series. It's just a lot of fun to play, and I really like using those lesser characters. So I'm just really glad that I was able to do so well at the final table tonight. And thanks to everybody who helped out with the broadcast. Thanks to the trackers, commentators, restreamers, and congratulations to everybody else.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Blaze. Very good job.
GG,
Thank
Blaze. Oh, and there we go. We are joined by penguin8r as well. GG, dude.
Thank you.
Ooh, so had enough eggs for one weekend?
I think I said last week that I had done my egg grinding for the year, but apparently had to do one more before put it away.
We could tell that you were really, really looking forward to slingshotting your Iridias.
Yeah.
How much did you groan and grumble when you realized that the seed wasn't going to let you do that?
Yeah, that was kind of my game plan even before the seed started. I was hoping to come in, get a fairly early darkness, and slingshot with Iridias. And I guess I kind of didn't fully adjust to having the crystal start because just having that already makes it pretty unlikely that that's actually the best play. Since you can find pass in a shop. And yeah, I think I realized late that I should have just checked the Dwarf Castle shop, which probably cost me a few extra checks.
Now, I've seen you stream it before, and you've made the joke about the penguin8r special just doing a half tower check. That would have actually gotten you a 10th key item, by the way. Swimmy actually peaked that spot just to try to hit 10, and cut his grind by a substantial portion.
That was my next order of business if I hadn't found the pass.
Gotcha.
But I think I was at 8 still, so I think I needed 2 more.
Oh, okay, gotcha. As for the upcoming events, are you looking forward to Catalite and Edward Percent at all?
Absolutely. I haven't done as much Catalite as I would like, so that might be a bit rough. And I think I've told you before, every single Catalite I've done, Kane and Fusoya almost right off the bat, so hopefully something a bit more challenging this weekend.
Just ask Scala to roll a few for you, and that'll clear that right up.
Although it might just lead to, I know you can't buy them, but it might lead to an egg grind. Who knows?
somehow, Scala will roll a seed where you egg grind in Catalite. I believe it. I believe it. If anyone can do it, she can.
I ship it.
Well, as far as the early game that seed, anything you wish you'd done differently? We did notice that there was that. You did take one rude wipe to, I believe, Mom Bomb in the Baron Inn after the transformation. Any other things where you're like, oh, I should have done this, just so we have some insight into your thoughts on it?
Not really that I remember. I think we already touched on it, but I was taking more effort than necessary to keep my Iridias low level, which costs a little bit of time, not a whole lot.
And you think you should have adjusted based on seeing that crystal as the first item?
Yeah, I probably should have. And even once it was down to ordeals, then there was no way I could get darkness before underground. So it's basically guaranteed pass seed. Well, not guaranteed. I mean, there's moon and things, but more than likely.
Gotcha. Well, GG's again. And are you going to be racing all 4 qualifiers this weekend, or just certain ones? When can the audience see you race again this weekend?
I'm planning on the morning one tomorrow. We'll see from there. I'll probably be busy during the night. You know, these seas can run kind of long, so kind of want to get some other things done this weekend. So maybe not all of them.
Gotcha. Well, GG's again, dude. Very well placed. I was expecting to see a huge cluster of people coming in, but apparently this Zeromus fight is giving people quite a bit of trouble. So going to be interesting to see how the other half of the pack comes in across this finish line.
And we see Swimmy coming back into this fight again. Poidrac now in the Zeromus fight as well.
And Poidrac did keep that Tella at a low level to keep the agility low. And again, it's just being very, very, very rude to Swimmy with that Tella's agility being where it is. But Swimmy's an amazing player of this game. I'm sure he'll pull it together this one and take down this King Dice jerk. He's being very, very rude tonight.
Yeah, Poidrac needed to take a reset there too, so this is not, I mean, one thing that I've definitely learned, like, we can do lots of things to try to mitigate Zeromus, but Zeromus is still not a joke. This is a difficult fight. These are very good runners who are taking multiple shots at this final boss, so Zeromus is not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, and that's one thing about reject percent. I mean, just, you can see well, when Poidrac gets back into the fight, that Porum, Rydia, Tella, Edward, you can be in the low 50s and still not guaranteed to survive a Big Bang. The low roll ones, if you nerf them, they'll do it max 1200, not so bad. Otherwise, they will do a max of either 2400 or 2700. Very high damage. You're not going to have the HP totals if RNG decides to roll high.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing about these reject percents, because it's like, if you have Rosa as your white mage, she gets massive HP at these high levels. But Porum, man, it's considerably different.
And I do see here that Swimmy has, instead of just Starveiling one character, has Starveiled his Sid and both his Rydias, which makes a lot of sense here. If those are the three characters that you must have survive, well, now those three characters are immune to the counter nukes. So when he is trying to nerf subsequent Big Bangs beyond the first one, and he eats that counter nuke, well, if it's targeting an important character, Zeromus is just going to eat it right back in the face. So a very, like, it's not a strat you'll always see used, but this is Swimmy thinking on the fly, mitigating, you know, what's been going wrong, seeing how did that fight, you know, go lopsided? What can I do to fix it? And he's done just that.
That's a heads-up play. You know, those are the sort of things that you've got to try to do, because we see, like here, that Big Bang hit, but while Tella had a slow queued up. Now that counter nuke hit the Tella this time, but even though like one of his Rydias is down to 1275 HP, which could be wiped by that nuke, by that strategy that you just laid out, Swimmy knew that Rydia was safe from that effect.
Absolutely. And so we may see that he may be planning for the fight to go a little longer. Still probably intends to skip the refill just based on how he's only doing reflected sources of damage. But, you know, if the black hole comes out, re-Starveil, he's taking a very more patient route to the fight this time. Poidrac, of course, having a slight tool in his kit that his three opponents here didn't have, and that was the white mage Porum. Does have a source of Cure 4, can max heal a single target in one go, or pretty much heal up all three of the ladies and Zeromus a little bit.
Yeah, and that little bit of healing that happens to Zeromus really isn't that big of a deal considering how much damage those nukes are dealing.
Yeah, but full damage Big Bang does narrowly escape having to res one of his ladies. 60 HP though, but that Big Bang does cause sap, HP leak, whatever you want to call it, and they are ticking down.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to see that dreaded HP ran out.
It's such insult to injury too, or injury to more injury, just because not only does your character die, you have to sit there and wait for the text to go away before ATB starts processing again. Ugh.
Yeah, that black hole hit at an inopportune time for Poidrac too, as Sid eats a nuke straight to the face from Rydia.
The funny thing is that, you know, Sid is probably someone who could, like, 4,800 HP, he's probably like, okay, that hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Any other character, and it's like, what did you do to tick off the little lady?
Like dust off the shoulders. I'm good to go.
We do have a few more finishers, by the way. Error came in 7th place with a 116.32. Zilch came in 8th with a 117.18. And there's the light flashing. Swimmy has done it on this try, 9th with a 118.21.
So yeah, GG's to Swimmy for sure.
And we'll see if Swimmy is available for an interview. I know that he is not always able to do that this time of night. So we'll see if he wants to hop in here. I'm very curious to ask him about how he changed his strategy during that Zeromus fight. I'm hoping he can walk us through that. Oh, no interview from Swimmy tonight, sadly. We'll have to hit him up in the Race Spoilers channel if we want to find out. If we want to pick his brain on that front.
Ooh. Poidrac just ate the virus from Zeromus, took out his Porum. Luckily, Sid's still standing with a lot of HP, so going to be trying to recover here.
Yeah, and of course, a lot easier for Poidrac to recover from, having too many characters take naps. Again, having just a source of Cure 4, being able to throw that out, full heal the team. But, ooh, those big bangs are coming out quickly after those shakes.
Even that low agility Tella, this is a very fast Zeromus here.
Yeah, I wonder, so we did see, at least Swimmy definitely turned his battle speed down to 3 before entering the fight. I'm wondering if Poidrac is still rocking battle speed 1 here, in which case, yeah, coming out fast and furious.
Kovalkin asking what are tomorrow's categories. Tomorrow's categories is Kata Light, which is one of the flag sets that's tried to be a very difficult but still raceable flag set.
Yeah, the notable things in the Kata Light flag set is that shops only sell cabins, and you cannot enable random encounters. Your only sources of XP are bosses, trap chests, and if you get really lucky, maybe you'll find a siren or 2 lying around.
But yeah, the sirens you have to find in chests. So
yeah. Theoretically, fun fact though, this is something that people have tossed around while Poidrac heads back to the Zeromus fight again. If board ends up implementing a mode where Japanese drop tables are re-enabled, the alert enemies in Lower Babel, well, you can actually steal sirens from them if you have an edge. And if everything comes into perfect harmony, you could actually get a few sirens that way.
That's very interesting. Oh, looks like the spoon was down at the behind the harps, so we could have had a really fun seat if we would have gotten some music and then a spoony bard.
Oh, that is one thing I'm sad we didn't get to see tonight. I do love seeing an adamant armor Edward with a spoon just going ham on Zeromus, just slicing and dicing. And, reject percent usually gives you the chance to see that, but it didn't get the chance tonight. I guess we'll have to wait for Edward percent next weekend to make that magic happen.
Yeah, Edward percent is going to be on us pretty soon here, and so our favorite Spoony Bard will definitely have a time to shine. This week, he was somewhat of a bit player. He threw a few, he pulled a few bowstrings, he threw a few daggers, but really he wasn't the star today. But he could have been if we found the spoon. We just didn't today.
What I'm looking forward to, Rex, is starting tomorrow with Cattle Light, of course. You're only limited to 5 characters in the seed.
Yes.
And it seems that Edward's always one of those. But the spoon flag is not on. So every time I'm playing a Cattle Light seed and I have Edward in the party, I find a spoon and I get really excited, and then I go to try to equip it, and it's just crushing disappointment all over again. I'm hoping that everyone else gets to share my pain tomorrow.
I think at least one of the qualifiers, that pain will be felt. Probably multiple of them.
We did have a 10th place finisher, by the way. Sorry, a little late to report this one. Simbu wrapped up in 10th place with a 1:21.17. GG to Simbu. So that leaves just a couple more to wrap up, including our buddy Poidrac right here.
Just Poidrac right now, because we only had 11 racers today.
Oh, you're right. Dragus couldn't make it tonight, so everyone, let's cheer Poidrac on. Getting those rolls of 9,900 with Rydia, that has to feel good. Did he rearranged his party to put Porum in the middle? See if it slows down King Dice a little bit here.
Yeah, after seeing how fast Zeromus was coming out, was unable to recover even with Porum. Just needed to try something different. And this is, try a different anchor. That can definitely make a big difference in this fight.
Yeah, because that was honestly very impressive. Before that last big bang, Poidrac had even queued up the Cure 4 during the shake, and Porum couldn't get it off in time.
Right.
So there was clearly something funny happening there with her agility versus the anchor's agility that was just really giving Poidrac a hard time there. So fingers crossed for Poidrac. Team's looking good here. Everyone's still around the 2,000 HP mark. I mean, Big Bang, if it wants to, can just, you know, dunk on you anyway. And as ready as...
That's the nature of these lower HP characters.
Yeah.
You're riding a dangerous line a lot of the time.
But the Iridias are doing really good work this time. That's at least 3 nukes I've seen that rolled above 9,000 damage, which we always like.
And here comes the Big Bang. This is going to be a real tester right here. Looks like everybody survived, and here comes the Cure Force, so that's good.
Now, it looks like he chose to hesitate with his top Iridia. I'm guessing he's anticipating the black hole coming out and does not want to nuke his own team again. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Paying attention to that Zeromus script, knowing when to take these actions so that you don't lose another character to friendly fire, especially if that character is one of your nuke casters. And here, opting to swing for the fences, even casting white with Porum instead of healing at the team. I'm guessing Poidrac's done an HP count, knows he's close to that 61,000 mark.
Yeah, it could be that, or figures had Porum queued up right after that black hole, might have time before the shake anyways.
Yeah. There we go.
Hey.
I mean, I'm seeing it. Poidrac, do you wanna dot done? Okay. 1 hour 26 minutes exactly. There we go. Let's see if we can get Poidrac in for one final interview.
And I believe we have Poidrac. Poidrac GG's tonight.
Yeah, agility is a fickle mistress, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm impressed at just how drastically your fight changed between those last 2 goes at it. I was befuddled at how you queued up Cure 4 with Porum during the shake, and he's still big banged. But
yeah,
Poidrac GG's tonight.
For being 9 agility, which is I thought was fairly okay, considering the agilities of everyone else. That was very, very fast.
And just making that one small change made everything look just so smoothly on that last one. So very well done.
Yeah, I've been looking into the agility a lot more over the past week, and I'm seeing where the changes sort of are in terms of the thresholds. But really, sometimes some things you just can't fathom about this game and on the agility scale.
Well, hopefully there'll be a little less to worry about this coming weekend with Cattle Light, right?
No.
There's still going to be a lot to worry about at Cattle Light, yeah, let's be honest, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to be a little bit worried about. But yeah, I was feeling good about this today until I saw the crystal.
Yeah, that opening crystal was a scary sign.
It wasn't a scary sight. It threw my mind off. I had a plan for what I was going to do, but I didn't anticipate that one thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. We heard very similar comments from penguin8r regarding that as well.
Yeah. Crystal Start is just... I just don't know what to make of it when it actually happens. I planned for everything apart from that, but yeah. What can you really do? It's a randomizer. You have to expect these sorts of things, and yeah.
Well, are you going to be planning on playing in that Cattle Light event this weekend?
I do plan on hopefully doing the day one for me, and I will be commentating on the evening one on Saturday. I won't be doing the evening one on Sunday because I do have to get up for work eventually, and things with me being on this side of the Atlantic, I sort of need to take that in mind, considering how long Cattle Lights can be.
Excellent decision. But GG's again tonight. Way to go. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how you do this weekend, and of course listening to that wonderful accent on commentary. Make sure anyone who wants to see more of this comes by the twitch.tv/freeenterprise channel. Those are at noon and 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow and Sunday.
Did you have any final thoughts, Poidrac?
No, I'm just going to go away and think about what I did, and hopefully I've been trying to just get better at routing and everything, and yeah, just go away, reflect on what I did today, just get better.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Poidrac, and thanks for GG's on making it to the final table, and thanks for a great race.
Yeah, have a good day.
You too. Well, I think that is nearly all for us tonight. Make sure you go give all our featured runners a follow tonight. If you'd like, I think the Restream team, our wonderful Restreamer Scala Kitty, she knocks it out of the park every time she takes care of this for us. Huge thanks to Aizen Tayama, our tracker, who actually had to, keep up with where everyone was running all over the place, and RexxRaul, commentary god.
I do my best.
In the meantime, I believe we are going to go raid Silverfire, who is actually practicing that flag set for this weekend, the Catalyte flag set. They are also a featured runner at RPG Limit Break this coming May. We'll actually be doing Dragon Warrior randomizer there. Silverfire can handle anything any randomizer throws at them. So let's go give Silver some love, and we'll hopefully see you all tomorrow for the first Catalyte qualifier. You gonna be there, Rex?
I may be there. I haven't decided yet. But I'll definitely be doing commentary on the Sunday afternoon race.
Excellent. Well,